Trey, take us to our next game, which is the Cy-Hawk battle. We've got Iowa State and Iowa. The Clones hosting Iowa this year in a rivalry that's been really weird over the last few years. Iowa leads all time 47-24. They've dominated over the last 20 years in this rivalry, but Iowa State has back-to-back wins in Iowa City. No, not back-to-back wins. They've won 2 of the last 3. Yes, yeah, no,
Both
it is
in Iowa
back-to-back.
City, yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, both in Iowa City. Sorry, misread my notes there. 2 of the last 3, and I I'm nervous, man. I'm all aboard Iowa to the playoff, or at least I was until I saw that Mark Gronowski kind of looked like every other Iowa quarterback that's run out there for the last decade, 15 years. So I'm going to push this one over to you. What excites you about this game? What gets you hot and bothered? Which way you leaning?
I mean, it's the age old, were they holding something back and were they not opening up the playbook,
Please.
right? We hear that
Dear
every
God,
year
please.
against FCS opponents. They struggle offensively. They look weird. They were just holding back the playbook. And that's the hope if you're on the Mark Gronowski for Big Ten Player of the Year train. Yeah, I mean, this is a weird series. It's typically very low scoring. It's typically hard-nosed, smash-mouth football, regardless of how the teams look in other games throughout the year, right? This is Iowa State has not beaten Iowa at home since 2011. Found that to be a
Oof.
really weird nugget. They have a few wins in Iowa City, like the 2 you mentioned, the last 2, but
Yeah.
really struggled in names over the last decade plus, and 7 straight in the series have been decided by 10 points or less. So this is going to be a close game. This is going to be a hard-nosed, hard-fought game. For all that was made about the Iowa passing game, it does look like they found something in the running game, right? It does
Yes.
look like they are not taking too big of a step back in the running game. That looked fantastic last weekend. So they are going to be ready to run the football. And even going back to our preseason diagnosis of Iowa State, that's kind of what we were worried about with the Cyclones. They found a way to stop the run against Kansas State. That was a Kansas State team that maybe we were a little too high on, speaking for myself here, and it was also without their starting running back. So I'm really interested to see if that big performance in the rush defense that we saw in Iowa for the Cyclones can continue against their rival back stateside now. Because if they can do it again, then I'm off the bandwagon that's going to be a struggle for Iowa State, and I think we're leaning towards that being a strength. So all that being said, though, I'm leaning towards taking Iowa in the points here for a couple reasons. One, I think they can control the game a little bit better on the ground. I don't think this is going to turn into a track meet because this game never seems to in recent years. And it's always close. Those 2 Iowa State wins that you mentioned, they were by 1 and 3 points in Iowa City. So this is not a game that typically has a big point spread. I'm expecting it to come down to a field goal with the gun or a last second play to decide it. And I think you get both of the likely outcomes here if you're picking Iowa in the points. I think a close Iowa State win or Iowa finding a way to win a close one. You get both of those outcomes, and I think that's what's most likely here.
Yeah, I feel like I was drinking some of that black and gold Kool-Aid over the offseason. There's no doubt. Watching them struggle to move the ball through the air against Albany, good FCS team, but guys, come on. The leading wide receiver for the Iowa Hawkeyes, Trey, do you know how many yards he currently has?
It's less than 20, isn't it?
It's 13.
Yeah.
13 is the leading wide receiver yardage total after week 1. Yeah, Gronowski got a rushing touchdown, and then I believe missed the rest of the game with cramps in his calf. So not the debut that a lot of us were hoping for, Hawkeye grads and those of us that are holding Iowa playoff tickets alike. But I'm with you. I'm going to take Iowa plus the points, not only because I've been saying that Iowa is going to win this game. They're going to return the favor, upset the Clones on the road. But like you said, these games are just always close. And in a rivalry game, you always want to throw out all normal conventional wisdom, especially in the Cy-Hawk game, where just weird stuff happens. These teams are not offensively inclined against each other in the slightest. I do like Xavier Williams running the football for Iowa. It just feels like the next, RB1 to step up there in Iowa City. I do like the defense for the Hawks. And so I do think even if Iowa State ends up winning this, I think they're able to keep it pretty close. Another thing that does make me nervous, though, maybe the special teams edge resides in Ames. They had a field goal kicker make a 63-yarder this past weekend. Like, oh, okay. Making me even more nervous. I got to say that Iowa wins this game. I'm going to stick with my prediction. I was right last year, even in the face of it feeling like there was no way that Iowa State was going to go into Iowa and win that game last year. I'm following the same playbook. I'm sticking to my gut. Give me the Hawks to win this one outright, but obviously I'll take them plus the points.
Yeah, Xavier Williams is my key player here because if he can take over on the ground for Iowa, could be a long game for Iowa State. But if Iowa State's able to hold him in check, we're talking about a defense that's going to be probably considered the best in the Big 12 heading out of this game. So a lot on the line here. It's another one of these games that I guess technically doesn't matter from a playoff perspective. Obviously, as fans of college football, we know that this game matters, right? We know that. And I just mean from a playoff perspective, like Iowa State can lose this game and still win the Big 12 and get there. Iowa could theoretically lose this game and still win the Big 10 or something like that. But yeah, I mean, we know that this game matters. We know that there's going to be a lot of emotion on the field. This is a highly charged rivalry. I love that we get it like week 2 or week 3 every single year. Early on in the season because it's just such a fun one. And I love that we're going to get a lot of attention. I think it's the big noon kickoff, right? So there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on this one.
Yeah, a lot of eyeballs, not only for the game, but I think storylines abounding as well. Kirk Ferentz is now tied as the all-time winningest coach in Big Ten history. He's tied with the legendary Woody Hayes at 205 wins. So one more, and he surpasses Hayes to hold that record by himself. It would be twice as sweet, I think, to get that over Iowa State, your in-state rival, and just be able to permanently hold that scoreboard over them for the rest of your life. That would be a pretty fun feeling, I'm sure, for a lot of Hawkeye fans. So tight game. Let us know. Do you expect Iowa State to run away with this? It feels like if there is one side that could get out of hand quickly, it would be the Hawks. Probably not being able to keep up with the Cyclones. But then again, I feel like this is the 4th year of our show. We've had this discussion, I think, each of the 4 years, and it's never happened.
Never happened. I'm not. The next time it happens, it'll be the first.
Exactly. So right in Iowa State -3.5, Iowa plus the points. Which side do you fall on there? We're both riding with the Hawkeyes on the road.